Bonjour, good tidings, and good evening, one and all. Well, I say good evening, it's probably good afternoon over there, isn't it? In the States, and boy howdy, we've got ourselves a Rally Cry Collegiate Rocket League series to get underway, presented by the Army National Guard, of course. I'm Relic, I'm joined by Galgan, and this is the second day of our first bracket in a 5-week series where $6,000 is up for grabs at the end of all of it. And goodness, Galgan, what a day we had to start us off yesterday.
Exactly. A total of 18 teams entered into the single elimination bracket that we will host every single weekend from here on out until the conclusion, when we get to those all-important playoffs as the teams build up points in their piggy banks to take through and get better seeding. Speaking of seeding, plenty of it playing true to where it stood yesterday. We started off with an absolute banger of a 7-game series between UT Dallas and the Drexel Dragons. UT Dallas took that home, then proceeded to force Maryville University to Game 7, and unsuccessful on that champions field, but still a solid effort from them. However, you mentioned it's day 2. We've whittled the field of 18 teams down to 4, and again, a reminder of what they're fighting for. Plenty of games here in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the U.S. Army National Guard. We're focused up on that Rocket League Series prize pool. $6,000 at play here, Relic. It all starts with getting a dub here, and 3 teams remain to try and lay their claim to the crown.
Yeah, unfortunate, really, isn't it? We started with over 20. We were set to go down to 4, but sadly, Maryville, who I think everyone can agree were very much the favourites going into this particular bracket overall. They have sadly decided not to compete for today. They've got other business to attend to, and so thus that means that Southern Miss Coca-Cola, they head to the grand final automatically. So this effectively is either a ticket into the grand final, Galgan, or guaranteed third place. New Haven Chargers going up against Oklahoma Christian Esports. Tell us a little bit about these two contenders.
Well, you can view this matchup as, like you were alluding to, a lower bracket final of sorts if there was one. But for New Haven Esports, it is a proving ground. The Chargers certainly want to try and take a big name down because it hasn't necessarily been too easy for them going forward. Starting as the 10th seed went up against USC, they managed to squeak that one out in 7 games, then go on to play Rowan, who were hot off the trot of sweeping Akron Gold, and New Haven managed to put away Rowan in 5 games. But their opponents over here at Oklahoma Christian, I feel like a lot of people are going to know exactly what these 3 are capable of. It's G-Man, Chili, and Chicken. All 3 of those names participating in RLCS quals that we know of. 2 of them still alive here for day 3 as G-Man attempts to make it through uppers playing against Shopify Rebellion first up, and Chili attempts to make the lower bracket run of a lifetime first up against Big Birds 3.0, but they're not really focused up on that right now because every single player on a different roster. It's right here and right now in this tournament. 2 series to win to take it. I feel like on paper, Relic, you favor Oklahoma Christian just based on what we've seen so far, but the paper has not been too kind to us as we've progressed through this weekend.
There you open it and the page is very much blank, or alternatively, it's just on fire already. That's kind of how this bracket has gone, right down to, again, our dearly departed Maryville, but UT Dallas came out and took game number 7, a result which of course didn't go in their favour ultimately, but not for the want of trying. But nevertheless, here we are then. It is our sole semi-final to be entertainment for this evening moving forward. New Haven Chargers up against OC Esports. There is most certainly a favourite, and that favourite, the ghost of G-Man, has scored. Bizarre scenes.
Trying to stay professional in a moment like this, but this is truly amazing. I mean, to operate at such a high level when you can't even see your own car, I just can't get over that. So Oklahoma Christian get off hot on the trot here with the first goal from the very invisible yet always present G-Man. I do love this as well. So we've got everybody else stacked up. G-Man will eventually rotate somewhere around as the rest of Oklahoma Christian get some team passing going in the bottom of the zone. But to reel it back in as this continues to play, this is going to be the name of the game. Oklahoma Christian are going to keep possession within their own ranks. How much will it take from New Haven to try and pry the ball free?
Who are you gonna call? Well, it's G-Man with the assist onto Chili this time, and I can. So just for the sake of the audience, nobody's called time. Like nobody has stopped, called the admin, and said something is seriously sus here. We can only take this to be a graphical glitch of some sort, but there is no glitch in the system when it comes to this OC Esports synergy. At the moment, they're absolutely vibing, Galgan. 3 goals in the opening minute. We were hoping that New Haven Chargers might be able to grab a game or 2 out of this. Heck, we might even see a series going the distance yet again, but it is pure dominance from the team in orange right now, so close to a 4th already.
At the same time, touches being made, steps being taken for the New Haven Chargers, and it's a best of 7. You know, we can say it time and time again like a broken record, but there's plenty of Rocket League left to be played. You've got to make the touches where they count, though, and Winsy certainly picks up the pieces to keep the offensive push alive for New Haven, but they're struggling right now to grab the ball and keep it between themselves for an extended period of time. That's going to be Oklahoma Christian's play style. Try and keep the ball away into inaccessible areas. Make sure the New Haven don't have better chances to move down the field. Transition plays are what I'm watching for New Haven. If they're not going to have extended periods of offensive pressure, what are you going to do immediately upon entering the zone to make sure it counts? Chili denies what looked like the strongest New Haven chance thus far.
Well, one thing is for certain, Galgan, this last minute has been significantly better for the Chargers, mostly because they haven't conceded 3 goals, but also just in terms of that eye candy value. They look far better in possession, and like you say, in those transitional stages, the warp seat previously, and it is eventually going to pay dividends there. Their first goal on the board, the comeback trail perhaps.
Works well for the squad, especially considering Oklahoma Christian pushes up there towards the midfield line. It's not a very far movement that they made, but the fact that everybody is up, and I think now we're going to get a little bit of a dip behind the scenes to make sure that we can see G-Man in all of his fantastic Rocket League playing ability. It was a fun little gimmick to maintain for the opening of the game, but I think we're back for a snap back to reality.
Indeed, this ain't no Harry Potter, this ain't no wizarding school, there's no invisibility cloaks, and we want to make sure that you could see the action as well. I was going to say that we can, but we also saw what everyone else was seeing. So yeah, ultimately I don't think it was a problem on the players' side. Again, they would have raised issues straight away if there was, you know, an invisible car running around. But I'm so impressed with what I've seen from New Haven since that first minute. Clearly, the hole was dug super deep. You don't ever want to be 3 goals down straight from the off to even score 3 goals in a game of Rocket League, Galgan. You've only got 5 minutes to do it, so that's considered a good day at the office any day of the week. But at least they have adapted. They've worked their way back into it. I would say they're the better looking team, certainly, for that last 30 seconds to a minute or so. Now they've got second half of the game to potentially go and score another 2 goals. Like I think this game 1 isn't done just yet.
I would have to agree with you, but I think for reasons that, you know, if we make the claim time and time again with these best of 7s where we don't always see everything that the teams are capable of in game 1 or game 2, it takes a little while to warm up into it. We don't really know what these players have done in preparation, whether or not they've scrimmed or just woken up, as most Rocket League players tend to do at Check's launch about, 3:15 p.m. here on the East Coast of the U.S. So I don't blame them for that, but at the same time, we know that more is coming. The question is, if more is coming for Oklahoma Christian, and we know what they're capable of, a la the first minute of that game, where's the matched pace, the step up from the New Haven Chargers to keep alongside Oklahoma Christian in the rest of the series as we go the distance?
Yeah, and actually, I don't want to say that Oklahoma have necessarily taken their foot off the gas either. I think in terms of their comms, their passing plays, they were still looking really good. It's actually more on New Haven doing a lot better themselves, and well, they came very, very close to a second goal right there, straight off the rip. We do continue around the 2-minute 40 mark, heading towards halftime, 3-1 the scoreline. And if you have just joined us, then don't worry, you haven't missed much. Game 1 here of the sole semi-final being played. The winner, of course, going through to that grand final. 100 points up for grabs in the overall tables in that quest to find yourselves in the playoff bracket in just over a month's time. And So far, so good for OC Esports. They've rode over the storm, I should say, that was oncoming from the Chargers, and things have settled down to an even keel. Not good news for the Chargers, of course. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Well, we've got a feeling that moments like this are bound to occur, and oh dear, it's all of Oklahoma Christian pushed up again to the same spot. Far and few between are the moments where the team bunches up together to try and get that push going, but that horizontal line, they're well past the midfield. All it takes is one power clear, it goes far side, and the New Haven Chargers, as if they ever fell out of this game, not necessarily, but they're right back in it. It feels like it's up for the grabs.
And don't get me wrong, this isn't a case of G-Man suddenly being seen either, nor was it solely on him. Yes, of course, it was a poor giveaway in terms of possession, but you're also hoping that the rest of your team is aware that that is a distinct risk that he is taking by heading into the central area of the field. Demo onto Ori, going over to Winsy. No, doesn't find the target, but here's Ori back on the field for Winsy. Oh, that's beautiful. That's sensational. Back four, but no final finish. Marty didn't want to take a roll of the die.
Passing plays, though, starting to come to fruition. Oryx has another chance. It's an early flick, taken aside by Chili. Into the corner, though, both of the remaining Oklahoma Christian players as G-Man clears the way. Martzi removed. No bump onto Oryx, however, as it comes back through the corner. But right down in the mid, Chicken fakes it off for G-Man to connect. And Oklahoma Christian starting to formulate something right here. They're not too content with letting this one-goal lead go down to the final seconds. Want to tack on some more. You can't blame them, but you got to watch them when they commit past that midfield line. New Haven Chargers have done a really solid job of trying to find those clearing lanes.
Loving the role that Oryx is playing here, but he's got to play defense for the moment. He spent a lot of time in the opposition third looking to resource steal, but now he's going to get in and amongst the midfield because with only 30 seconds left, they need to get this transition successfully out of there. More importantly, they've got to not concede, and they were very close to doing so just there. Martzi moves upfield. No, he doesn't. Chicken on target. Just maybe a little bit short on that occasion, actually. Back for more. Gets another bit of interference play. Martzi trying to find wins. He does get to him eventually. Full boost to work with. Infield for Oryx. There's no connection made. And OC looking to survive here.
It's popped up once more. Martzi has to make a save, but something else has to give for the New Haven Chargers to get one more push because the time's already gone. The ball's already on the ground. And Oklahoma Christian grabbed game one of this best-of-7 semi-final. Relic, we come back to think about what we just saw and think about what we may or may not see in the rest of the series. I get the feeling that there are a lot of people watching this saying it's not that deep. Oklahoma Christian are the better team, and they'll end up winning this series anyway. I sympathize with that, but at the same time, just put yourself in the space of understanding that the New Haven Chargers had a couple of chances where they saw mistakes being made. They found one big clear, and they capitalized. The transitions are a marquee thing to watch for the New Haven Chargers. Granted, you want them to get a little bit more than just transition plays to convince you that they can win this best-of-7, but it's a foot in the door, right? Especially considering how much Oklahoma Christian would probably be favored before this series begins.
Yeah, I think honestly there are a couple of factors that even went against the Chargers. First and foremost, they came out the gates like ice cream out the freezer. You know, it's got to defrost a little bit before you can actually dig in, and I feel like it just took a little too long for them to get into the groove. And then they did. They were well deserving of their first goal that they scored, but that technical pause really stifled their momentum. I think actually it's very credible how quickly they did restart the game thereafter, but by that point, their opponents are a little bit more alert to their tactics. So despite that second goal going in, it goes back to that original point that I was making during that technical break. You're already 3 goals down. That's a good day at the Rocket League office to score 3 goals in the first place. So you're really trying to climb a mountain by that point just to get the equalizer. But it's certainly a good start here. Or is it a good start? Never mind. It's 1-0 yet again. Early doors for OC Esports.
I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking this is a little bit of friendly taunting from G-Man. Potentially bringing out the Batmobile here as opposed to the Fennec that we couldn't see at the beginning. I was never happier in my life to see a Blusterbar Fennec than I was when G-Man reappeared. But now, I mean, you can't look away. The Batmobile is too powerful. It's going to will Oklahoma Christian to a sweep in this series, a sweep in the next. They're just never going to lose another game of Rocket League, clearly.
until Psyonix gives everyone their own hitboxes, I won't succumb to the talk of meta. What I will succumb to is praising New Haven Chargers yet again. Don't say die attitude. Poor defense, you could argue, from OC Esports, but it's New Haven Chargers getting up in their faces, forcing them into those errors and capitalizing when the chance lines up for them. 1-1 within 30 seconds, you'll have to see it.
I think that's the reason why I keep bringing it up, though, is that not often do you see a team, make such cut and dry missteps in their rotation and then they're immediately scored on every single time. But it feels like every single chance for the New Haven Chargers has been because Oklahoma Christian, yes, they play close enough to each other that they can get passing plays going, but defensively when they're not in the right spot, you can tell it doesn't matter. The Batmobile strikes as G-Man gets them back on top.
G-Man, he's a G-Man. Completely caught Oryx in between a rock and a hard place there, and especially with the angle in which he was able to bring his car into. Front bumper heading onto the ball. He was always going to win that 50-50 against the angle of that last defender. Really nice play from OC Esports. Again, capitalizing on those midfield mistakes.
The tried and true debate again arises. Individual prowess of the players on Oklahoma Christian versus the power of friendship for the New Haven Chargers. They clearly have that level of team synergy on lock, but it's about finding those difference maker type plays. Meanwhile, Oklahoma Christian, they can't stop from providing them for us here in the offensive zone. Martzi picked clean by Chili. Now another challenge. Awkward pinch, but G-Man has plenty of time. Just kind of wants to calm this play down. We've still got so far to go, and yet these players seem anxious as ever to get it going as quickly as possible here.
It's a lovely switch up from OC, just in general. They've gone a little more direct in their play rather than the short and cute passes. Alternatively, G-Man can just skill on the entire defense, but thankfully for the Chargers, Oryx was back in town. Martzi going up, now looking for that second touch, won't find it with Chicken in the way. Winsy moves forward, got a lot of boost, but still going to be able to utilize it here. Forces back into the rotation. Chicken forced back himself, going onto the back board. He's got help, but this is a little bit cumbersome from the defense. Demo from G-Man onto Oryx. It does lessen the load, certainly in terms of responsibility. Going sideways, not forward. And again, the Chargers burning a little bit more time off the clock, but they need goals, not time burning.
Tough to watch as well when players follow those touches towards the side wall, going back and forth against expectation. Middle of the field, however, and Oryx denied from Chili, who comes down from the ceiling. Now a bump on Martzi. Has it done enough to dissuade the play? Chicken with a save aside, with a rotation through the corner, now on lock for New Haven. Can they pick it away from G-Man? No, another collision now, back to the center, and it's the New Haven Chargers on the back foot, if only for a half second before they get it right back to the back wall. All of this pressure, though, building up to finally release for a goal for Winsy.
So G-Man did the enforcing all right, manages to get a demo there, you can see it, but oh, it's a bump from Oryx, yes, of course, and that completely throws the rotation out, but it's meandering there. Galgan, if you know that the Chargers are going to be up in your face, surely stick to the game plan that you've enforced for the last couple of minutes or so. Just whack it downfield. It's better than what's just occurred.
The problem, though, anytime they have the confidence to trust somebody to whack it downfield, everybody else commits. They get to the midfield line. They want the offense to start cooking. Meanwhile, Martzi can do nothing but a beautiful second touch here, and New Haven out in front.
For the first time this series, a real confidence booster, a solo majestic effort. G-Man unable to save it off the line. Broken rotation, but restored hope for the Chargers with just shy of 2 minutes left. Can they now hang on to this?
Clear that New Haven have earned this berth into the semis. Can they continue the momentum they've got here? G-Man with a quick touch of the midfield line sends it sky high, and it's against all the well wishes of everybody on the New Haven Chargers. But a clearance comes through, connection to the midfield line. Chili sends back, Winsy responds. No second touch immediately as Chicken plays it slow, a flip reset of sorts. Chili challenged early, top of the box again for Winsy as the New Haven Chargers continue to try and clamp down. A slower push out from the zone, but Chili reads the second touch well, forces Winsy back into the corner. New Haven trying to get the transition defense on lock, and they have, despite Winsy having no boost in the tank. They've dissuaded it for now.
it's not just Windsy, everybody low boosted in the tank, is mostly because OC Esports have, well, they've basically headed to the supermarket and they are stacked up on drinks in the form of energy laid out on the field. Finally, a bit of a reprieve here for the New Haven Chargers. But Chile, again, taking to the air to transition out. Smart play, bump play, dunk play, G-Man 3-3.
Nasty bump as well. Well outside peripheral vision, makes just enough contact. And G-Man gets another touch as well. This shot proving popular in the series, sending to the ceiling, coming down on that angle and hitting it off the ground. Really tough to put a shot like that away, but far be it from Oklahoma Christian to miss something like that. All square relic, 50 seconds to go.
Question answered. We can tick that one off. New Haven Chargers could not survive. A fourth goal required now. Will it even come? Will it? Well, I mean, it's going to have to come at this point now because OC have found a fourth with 40 seconds left.
Trouble brewing there at the midfield line. G-Man, a beautiful cross pass to Chicken. The read was on, but that's such a tough jump to make as the lead defender. Not only the lead defender, but the only defender. Everybody else in the midfield line thinking surely Oklahoma Christian let that ball drop. They do not. Stays in the air the whole way through. And all of a sudden, the tides have turned. OC look to go up 2 in the series.
Ka-chow. Martzi heading to the corner. And Windsy in a difficult position with no resources to utilize. Martzi takes over control. Infield. Leaves it off to Oryx, not going to get there in time. G-Man, this is great from Windsy. Does at least get a 50 neutral. Marty with the quick turn, but doesn't get the wave dash in time. Chicken, all they got to do is take it to the far corner, and that's exactly where they're heading. Backboard instead from Chile. G-Man, up it goes, and Chicken playing safe. I'm really not surprised. It's the safe way out. It's the successful way out. OC 2-0 up in the series.
Another close game, however. It really feels like the story so far is that despite everything, it is still Oklahoma Christian. They still understand how to win these games in the clutch moments, even when you think surely this is a next step up for New Haven. This is what they need to do, this momentum that they need to continue with and carry on forward through the rest of the series. We all know Rocket League is a cruel mistress when it comes to momentum. You cannot bank on something like that. These players on Oklahoma Christian understand how to make a comeback happen. That's the scariest part, is that no lead feels safe for the New Haven Chargers.
6-speed versus a 7-speed right now. It just seems like OC Chargers have that extra gear to shift up into. Of course, the Chargers themselves, they can take a lot of pride from this. I think overall, the performance far better, far more consistent throughout the entirety of that 5-minute period. They've led for a period of time as well, but unfortunately it was fleeting, and that's where we have to credit their opponents here. Oklahoma Christian, they've been in these positions so many times before where they've had to fight back from errors of their own making or just really good opposition in general, and they managed to find something different. They changed their game up on the fly. The Chargers a little bit more transparent with their gameplay, and as much as I've been impressed with them, we do need to see just that little bit more to make a series out of this yet.
So we go to game number 3. It's difficult to make a prediction. I want to say 5 games here. I know we oftentimes get bold in positions like these. I do think the New Haven Chargers have it. Like, clearly, I talk a lot about the individual it factor, players being able to pull something off to reinvigorate the rest of the team and doing so on their own. We've seen it from all 3 flashes in the pan for the New Haven Chargers, but the second they get more consistent with something like that, coupled with the second that Oklahoma Christian continue to bunch up a little bit in the transition before they exit the zone, that could be a recipe for the New Haven Chargers to get a more confident lead, but it really feels like they need to play the most solid final 90 seconds of a game to confirm a win, as we now, I believe, a second Batmobile has entered the field, I think, for Oklahoma Christian.
Who's going to be robbing the win from each other? Oh, none of us have got an oracle here to see. Oh, so many jokers in the barrel. I could pull them out for fun. However, there's no early goal for fun. That's certainly a sign of improvement for the New Haven Chargers, and it's mostly come through their own aggression, which is lovely to see. But I'm actually going to disagree with you slightly. I do think this is leaning more towards a sweep than Game 5 territory, mostly because there's more mistakes leading to goals for the Chargers rather than them creating it through their own ingenuity, of which they do have that in spades, Galgan, but you know, this is the light at the end of the tunnel time. You know, this is the really important series that we're talking about here.
But see, this is also a dangerous precedent in a completely different way. That
Oh!
I'm off for range. Chili with the goal here. What a passing play from inside out. The fadeaway, I believe, is a challenge just sends it back towards the net, right off the back wall. And indeed it is. Chili getting a glancing blow at the ball right under the bar.
Galgan, that's the level of quality. That's the level of quality the New Haven Chargers are missing. That ability to make something out of nothing. Lovely bounce off the backboard. Anybody who is diving up to even Grand Champ at this point knows that that backboard could be a real nasty sticking point for trying to make maneuvers here and there, but they make it look so easy, OC, and then to have the read on it, Chili, that was a spicy, spicy goal, but one, as we always know, is never enough, and it'll pop up here for Chili again, but Marcy deals with it well enough.
See, Chili with that goal kind of discredits the dangerous precedent I was talking about, which has absolutely nothing to do with the skill of these players. But basically, I'm dictating that if Chili does not appear in a Batmobile for the next game, then you might as well give the win to the New Haven Chargers and get them on the board. They could do it themselves, though, well within their own right. And it's Winsy here out of the corner. Tough read for anybody to make. G-Man gets caught turning back. Maybe a little bit of a bump there as well from the other defender rotating through. I believe it's Chili at that near post. But regardless, we're all square.
Not a defensive howler, but Chili should certainly be making the save there. It feels like, you know, he's got a good read on the ball and then he just doesn't jump. Chili steals the goal right there at the end. This is a G-Man goal. It's just him versus Oryx, and that's embarrassing. But it's like not on Oryx. I'm saying. That is all G-Man embarrassing his opponent there. 2-1, never mind.
You know, I was going to say, there's no goal stealing, only goal security. I mean, it could also be Chili just surely thought, you know, G-Man didn't make the touch, so the goal does not belong to him, which I can understand. You know, I do that to my ranked teammates all the time. They don't really like it when I do, but clearly it's working here for Oklahoma Christian. Another pass off the back wall. And this is something that you can't really teach players to do. They've got to learn how to execute something like that from countless hours of playing together. It's on full display.
Yeah, the legs are being firmly stretched here now by Oklahoma Christian Esports, and this entire game so far has been a culmination, really, of all the good things that we've seen from OC. They're just now stringing it all together. Big, bombastic clearances downfield, but when they get into that final third, they have the finesse to be able to find their teammates with aplomb, making the opportunities easier to miss. Oh, sorry, easier to score, I should say, than to miss. Speaking of.
It's just a crazy offensive pace that Oklahoma Christian are able to hit every time they enter the zone. Force two players up, and neither of them are even close to winning that race because they're too far forward ahead on the angle. I mean, credit where credit is due. They had to make the jump. They had to put a hand up, but G-Man over the top, slam dunk for the fourth goal for Oklahoma Christian. This series is starting to look like it's wrapped up nice and well. The post is unforgiving to Oryx as Martzi puts it back again, but no second yet for New Haven.
That might very well have been the spark to give the Chargers a little more hope, but I can't help but fear for them. I feel like their opportunity to make this series really interesting kind of came and went throughout game number one, but especially game number two. OC Esports have continued to grow with integrity and vigor, maybe breakaway opportunity here for Martzi. It's 2v1. It's surely got to go into the back of the net, but Galgan, it doesn't. The chicken is still cooking.
I just picture the Batmobile, right? And standing on the goal line, you don't think the Batmobile ever wins that challenge, and yet Chicken manages to do so. Like, you would picture that from a Merc or a taller hitbox, but it's just some kind of difference with Oklahoma Christian, where now at this part of the series, New Haven feels like they're allowed to stay in these games only if Oklahoma Christian lets them. And that is a very dangerous state of play to be in. 60 seconds left, and all of these initial shots go wide. No real stance for New Haven. They've got to work real hard over the course of these next 1 to 4 games to even think about taking this series back.
Well, see, just there, Galgan, that was another 2v1 scenario in the space of 2 minutes, and again, they weren't able to convert anything from a New Haven Chargers. They're sort of promising over the ball here in the midfield, but with just over 30 seconds left, the result kind of seems inevitable. OC Esports surely going to be heading on to match point already. 3 wins on the spin. Maybe a consolation goal here, but it's not to be. It just feels like that balloon, after gaining a load of helium, has just started to deflate at a very, very slow pace. But as we know with balloons, Galgan, the more air that escapes, the quicker that it deflates. And, well, this was a very, very deflating result. A 5th for the road for Chile.
Only air on the side of New Haven. OC Esports using helium, choosing to do so, and flying to the skies. Feels like that's the limit at this point. 5-1 in Game 3 of a best of 7. It has been ever more dominant as we have continued on. And there's still more Rocket League to play. Still something potentially for the New Haven Chargers to figure out, but not 1 goal for the road. It gets cleared away. Chile may make it 6 for Oklahoma Christian if they have anything to say about it. One last pop. G-Man's a little too far forward and try and convert this one around, and does, but no help, no boost left. Doesn't matter. A 4-goal difference here. It feels like the next game is a formality, Relic. I don't know about you, but is there a chance? We need to play not devil's advocate, but Chargers advocate here.
Yeah, chilly by name, frosty by nature, but there was nothing hot or cold about this entire series for OC. I genuinely think that their consistency has been their biggest friend thus far, and even in the moments where they do concede goals or where they do make mistakes, they've always had enough in reserve to be able to catch up the distance and overtake their opponents. So the one fallacy that I can maybe see entering the equation here is a bit of ego. I mean, we've seen 1 Batmobile turn into 2 Batmobiles, and we certainly saw a much more aggressive posture from OC in the second half of that game, and it's just kind of the lack of confidence from the Chargers that they didn't put away 1 or 2 goals. So if out the gates OC are in that headspace, then maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that Chargers can capitalize. But even then, I'm slightly worried that if it's an early goal, there'll be enough time left in the game for OC to just get their heads down and equalize. So as much as I want to advocate for them, they're in a real difficult position right now.
Seems like all the world working against them at this point in time, doesn't it? I want to see if Chile's going to appear in a Batmobile. That's what I'm most focused on for Game 4. Clearly, the players have different prerogatives, but it is a quadruple match point here for Oklahoma Christian to advance, and Chile still got that Phoenix. So you know what? There is a fighting chance for the New Haven Chargers. I believe they can get it done. Well, my point still stands from earlier. They need to play some of the most consistent Rocket League they have played all season long, all year long. And you know what? If you're gonna get a goal, you got it. That's all I got. Back to you.
I don't really have too much to add. I mean, Chile was out of control. The bump really just pouring salt into the wounds there. Chargers will take it. A rare lead, an opening lead for the first time in this series. That's exactly what they would have been hoping for if they didn't have any bad luck. Well, they wouldn't have any luck at all, they would say. But OC Esports, again, this is kind of what I'm worried about, is that it's so early in the game that unless Chargers find a second, maybe even a third, I can very much see a similar result being drawn out. Just for note, by the way, because I was interested, you know me, the wordsmith, I want to, add, it's a cauldron of bats, a group of bats. How cool is that?
That is honestly very cool. I'm fully behind the OC cauldron. It's right there. The Ode cauldron.
Oh my word.
I think I'm getting a bit too ambitious, but you know, I have these ideas. I don't think anybody should really pay me to come up with those ideas, but you know, if you want to, my inbox is open. I will, you know, continue to cook up absolute monstrosities of team names. But Oklahoma Christian, I think they're just fine. They are clearly taking to the task at hand. Right now, I mean, at this point for New Haven, it's all about trying to play for possession. I think as soon as Oklahoma Christian grab the ball, have those passing lanes open, I mean, you already know what's going to happen. G-Man is at the middle of the field. Somebody's there. Chile, beautiful touch. G-Man already wins that race as several sequences have gone for Oklahoma Christian, and that's how we get tied up.
Sending that statement right to GalvinTTV at gmail.com. Signed the G, the big G. Is he going to turn it into a big W, however? Still one more goal to find, I should say, to go and take the lead, but New Haven Chargers will want to try and put a stop to that. Lickety split. That's a really nice redirect onto goal, actually. Forces a good save. Lovely recycle of the play. Forces a save out from G-Man this time. There he is again, goes central. Big doink downfield by Chicken, and that's on target, would you believe? Marzi forced into a save this time. Oh, how the tables have turned. Right back the other way. Woodwork comes to the rescue.
And one of the strongest sequences we've seen from New Haven in a complete sense of it, offensively and defensively. Really tough ball to take away, as you rightly mentioned, the first touch from Oklahoma Christian on target. But look at what they've done on the other side. Plenty of chances. You just need the icing on the proverbial cake, but they can't quite punch it home. And now Oklahoma Christian go back the other way. Transitions are a marquee thing of this series as a whole. Winsy, no boost, no problem. Crossbar says no. Follow through from Marzi is in. New Haven back on top.
That takes a lot of guts for Marzi. He's basically counting on Winsy missing to be so far up the field to get that into the back of the net himself. He's going to be glad that he chose that decision. Maybe not the best support for his teammate, the best indictment for his teammate, but the result stands. It's 2-1. We've just passed half time. Chargers have retaken the lead. But again, it's not a safe lead, not by a long shot. G-Man looking to try and make sure that my words are instantly heeded, but Marzi's put up yet another save, and that's going to bounce clear for Winsy's chase.
2-on-1 for the time being. G-Man trying to get into the picture. Both miss. Marzi on the follow-through, blocked by G-Man. But where's the rest of the defense? Everybody turns away as if the ball's just going to teleport out of the top of the box. But that's not how this game works.
Just feels like a flashbang was dropped in the middle, and Oryx was the only one who was behind a wall. He didn't have his vision blinded. He saw with clarity, and that's looking a little bit healthier now. I'm still worried for them, Galgan. I think we might need to see goal number 4 to fully get behind the Chargers' effort here, but promising.
I don't know. I think they score 8 here, and you still say that you're concerned it could end. You're just denying the inevitable Game 5 victory here for Oklahoma Christian, as I have foretold in the prophecy shown to me. I get like every single prediction wrong, so if I have just this one on my track record, you know, 1 and however many losses, I'm a pretty happy camper.
Oh, we should have done a prediction table for the team. Or, I mean, maybe we could start with number 2, but...
Right.
Is it really legitimate with, 2 weeks? Never mind. Now 70 seconds left, and again, this is what we like to see from New Haven Chargers, getting up in the face of OC Esports. Now, that clock burning really does come into effect, although a miss here and a double commit effectively is not going to go too punished. Chicken looking to pick up possession at the midfield line. Holding around on this mid boost. My goodness, that really is boost hogging, isn't it? G-Man has somehow forced us to the backboard. Winsy, that's very scary, and that's exactly why. 1-goal game.
And still in the transition, like, it's not really that bad of an attempt defensively. There's not really much you can do with Winsy being the lead player, and you demo the side on the near post to take that shot, play it to the far. Everything lines up. It's just Chili is existing in the defensive box, and that is a problem for any team that you're up against. Now Chicken foregoing the mid boost so Chili can pick it up, try to drive through, find a bump, doesn't connect. But here's a chance for Oklahoma Christian to send it to OT when we thought we could write it off for the New Haven Chargers. Oh, how silly we were. Chicken trying to make everybody look silly. G-Man still gets time to get to that ball, and Chili will rotate through.
The OC mind games are unreal. Great comms. Every single movement's got purpose, and the far post has been found. Not Kentucky Fried, but it looks like an overtime might certainly be on its way.
Just go ahead and get the flashback going to me maybe 10 minutes ago, saying Oklahoma Christian know exactly what they need to do to make a comeback. They've done it again. Nobody should be surprised, and yet I'm as surprised as Pikachu at his most surprised state. And yet we still continue on with the New Haven Chargers. One more push to maybe stop this one before golden goal area. Now Oryx is forced to play this one back. It's a strong push potentially from the corner here for the side of Oklahoma Christian, and Chili puts it away. That's the dagger. That's the series. Chili and Oklahoma Christian are going to the grand finals.
I didn't want to make a noise, but I could see it coming, Galgan.
Yep.
As soon as that shot was being lined up, I'm like, oh no. Oh no, not like this. And I tell you what, that's a lot of goals to be scored to not even pick up a game win. That's got to hurt for the Chargers, but you have got your prediction wrong. Relic got it correct. I'll claim the bragging rights, but we got to feel for the team that lost here. A real shame for the Chargers.
Absolutely. It's that idea of being able to make the comeback. I think at a glance, it looks like, a predator playing with its food in a sense, where Oklahoma Christian are just sitting there going, we know we can win these games. Let's just have a little bit of fun with it. They very obviously did that with 2 Batmobiles on the field as opposed to the cars that they usually use. But in a more subtle sense, they did that in the mannerisms that they played with, the formations that they took offensively and defensively. I think there were genuine mistakes made early on in the series by Oklahoma Christian that led to some of the New Haven Chargers' early goals. But at the end of the day, as we got further on, that idea that I mentioned earlier where New Haven Chargers were allowed back into the series when Oklahoma Christian let them get back into the series, that felt very true. As we take a look at some replays for that prior series, that's where my head is at for this one.
Yeah, and I think I share that brain cell with you. Reminded of the invisibility shenanigans from game number 1. It's this felt like a team that had another team in the pocket, and that pocket was to be their home. Unfortunately, I think it's no discredit to the Chargers either. I genuinely think that they didn't have that extra step today, and it's not to say that they won't have it in the future. I mean, again, goodness, they scored so many goals throughout this series. I think apart from game 3, every single game was close. But when you're talking top 4 at the collegiate level, something like the Rally Cry Collegiate series, not having that extra goal, or quite conversely, conceding that extra goal really does make the difference in the long term.
Absolutely, and you cannot overstate, this is a very solid result for this New Haven Chargers roster, who will be very happy with this 3rd place finish now. Because of how the bracket is shaking out, that grabs them 40 points in a situation where an earlier round exit would have been a maximum of 10. They're going to be very well equipped to try and make a playoff run as we get deeper into this event. But at the same time, matches like this, it's great to have this experience against Oklahoma Christian. You know that Oklahoma Christian is going to be one of the top contenders in this entire event as the weeks go on. So to get these reps in now, despite the fact that it's only 4 games, in an official competition setting, and try and set yourselves up for future success in the weeks to come, that's a pretty good omen for the New Haven Chargers.
Well, consider this as well. I mean, there's 4 individual brackets over the 4 weeks, right? So it's simple maths. The maximum amount of points that any team can accrue is 400. That's if you win every single bracket. And to be fair, the team that we thought might be able to do that ain't even here today. They're going home with 25 for 4th place. So to already have a 10th of the maximum amount of points that you can accrue over the 4 weeks, I think that the Chargers are going to be delighted with that. I think they're going to have a lot to look at from this series as well, where they can slightly clean up. And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Because we can talk about it from an offensive perspective and say that they didn't really have that flair down the other side of the field. They didn't really have the beautiful passing plays that we saw from Oklahoma Christian. But what they did have was a really strong midfield presence. They were scoring a lot of goals. So if they just tidy up their defense, if they concede less, they're going to find those W's far more common than not.
A lot to learn from for the New Haven Chargers. Plenty to review in the coming weeks and prepare themselves better for the tournaments to come here in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the U.S. Army and National Guard. But Oklahoma Christian stood too tall of a task for them to take down on this day. They'll have to settle for third place as that third place match is foregone. But your result here of the semifinal that we will play today, Oklahoma Christian take a sweep. Their job is not done. The grand finals are next for them up against Southern Miss Coca-Cola. We'll have to see. That sounds like a fantastic series on paper, Relic. Again, I mean, we can talk day in, day out about how much we expected Maryville to be at this stage, but Southern Miss impressed us to a great degree yesterday, and I have a feeling they've got a real chance to do the same today.
Yeah, Pescados, of course, defeated 4-1. So they've had a pretty good run, Southern Miss Coca-Cola, but again, it's a whole new world. Grand finals, it's such a vibe. We hope that you will join us for it. It's coming up after this break, so we'll see you then.